Okay, for our photo flap section, that's how I call it in the cutting guide, I believe, you are going to need your pieces G, 2 of them, H, 4 of them, I, 4 of them, and J. I didn't label these, but these are pieces J. So for piece G, these pieces are 8¼ inches in height, and they are 6 5/8 inches in width. And with that side on top of your scoreboard, you're going to score 1/2 inch and 5/8 of an inch, both pieces. So you have a little 1/8 inch gusset there. Pieces H, really easy. These are our photo flaps, 4 pieces that are 6 by 4, and with the 6-inch side on top, you're going to score 1/2 inch. 4 of those. And pieces I are going to form our pockets. So these are 5 inches by 5 7/8 of an inch. And on the 5 7/8 of an inch, you're going to score 1/2 inch. And on the 5-inch side, you're going to score 1/2 inch and 4½ inches. So these are going to be pockets. Now we are going to make the angle in here, which I've already prepared on 2 of them. I still have to do the cut. If you want to have the pocket to be straight instead of the angle, you can just cut this piece to, you can do whatever you like, of course, but I would suggest to cut it to, let's see, let's take off 1½ inches. So that is 4 3/8. I think that's what I would do probably. Okay, so 4 of those, and then pieces J, you can just use some scrap pieces. So maybe these are the last pieces you want to cut if you prepare to construct your folio. These are going to be 1 inch in width by at least 6½, but I think mine are about like 8¼ So we're going to cut this down, but you just use some scrap pieces that are at least 6½ inches tall, and you can cut to 1 inch. 4 of them. We are going to do the scoring and cutting on that later on. So let's start with our pieces G. So 2 pieces again. On the dented side, you can place your adhesive on your first 1/2 inch between the cut edge and that first 1/2 inch score line. And give it a burnish. Always burnish your double-sided tape for a good stick. And again, I'm going to put my scissor just above the 1/2 inch score line and angle. So you want to have that gusset area to be straight. And do that here as well. I don't know, I never cut it towards the score line, because then you have a risk of cutting into it. But I start doing that and it just, I don't know, I keep doing it. It hasn't been going wrong for me, by the way, but that's just something that slipped in there. Well, I always tell people, cut from your score line, not towards it. And then what I do, I cut towards it. Bad example. Okay, so fold on both score lines. It's always a little tricky with the 2 score lines so close together, but just again, take your time. And just, you get that little gusset there. So both pieces again. So we've got those prepared. Then for your pieces H, so I did 3 already, but it's nothing special. We are again just placing our tape between the cut edge and your 1/2 inch score line. I have a little bit of cardstock stuck onto my tape. Now if you want to, you can angle these 1/2 inch flaps as well. You don't really have to, it's up to you what you want. So for all 4 of them, just fold towards the bumpy side of your score line so your tape ends up on the outside of your piece. And then we have those prepared as well. And then we are going towards the part that requires a little bit more work, if you want to. So what I did, I've prepared 2 completely. This is 1 set, and I'm going to make the second set with you, I do need to make the cut, right? But I'm going to show you what we are going to do. So get one piece in, and in this case, for this piece, I know that's sometimes really hard to catch. I'll try to catch it in the light. My score line is on top, on the left hand side and on the bottom. And along the bottom score line, I'm going to measure from the cut edge here on the left, so where there is no score line, I'm going to measure 2 7/8 of an inch inwards. I know that's a weird measurement, but there was a reason for it, but don't ask me what it was, I forgot. And I'm measuring on top of my 1/2 inch score line. Again, I will try to remember to show it up close in a second. So I line up the 0 here with the cut edge, and I go 2 7/8 of an inch in and mark that on top of the score line. It's a really light pencil mark, but it's right here by my thumbnail. That's just a little fiber from scoring. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my ruler here with the top edge of my score line. So not with the corner, but with the top edge of the score line. And with the pencil mark that I've just made. I do feel that the weather is getting darker and darker, so I hope that the lighting is still okay. I need to get my head in frame here for a second to line it up at the right spot. And then I'm going to draw the line all the way to the cut edge. So I went from the top of the score line all the way to the cut edge where I meet the pencil mark that we did right there. Then for the second piece, I'm going to do the same thing, only this time I'm going to make sure that my score line is on the other side. So this time it's on the right hand side, and I'm going to measure from the left hand side. So again, I line up the 0 with the cut edge, and I measure on my score line at the bottom and mark 2 7/8 of an inch. Go to the top of the score line right here on the left hand side. Maybe it's easier to just do it like that. I have a little bit more light on that side. And go all the way to the cut edge down. And we can cut on that line, but before we do that, we are going to place our tape. So why do I do my pencil line first? So I know up to what point I need to place tape without wasting too much tape and still have nice tape coverage all the way to that angled edge there. So when I place my tape, I try to stay close to the cut edge, but still see my pencil line there when I line it up in my paper trimmer. But sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't work out. But I'm placing it to where I go over that diagonal pencil line completely with my tape and then go up to the score line. And then do the 3 sides with a score line. Okay, don't forget, give it a good burnish. I'm going to turn on some extra light, just see how that looks. I don't know if it makes it better or worse, but this is what we're going to do because it's getting a bit darker and cloudy outside. So, okay, 4 pieces. Now I need to get a paper trimmer in. I have a paper trimmer on this scoreboard. That is a We Are Memory Keeper scoreboard. That would work. That would perfectly work. It's now set to scoring. So I can use this for scoring and trimming. But I don't really like how it cuts. But you can just line up the line. This is the cut line right here. Line up the line right there and just cut, right? But I'm going to use, what I bought is a guillotine trimmer, a big one from Crafter's Companion, which cuts really clean and nicely. But personally, I struggle a little bit with the precision of my measurements. So the 1/4 inches and the 1, 2, 3 inch and then the 1 1/4, 1 1/2, that works fine, but everything in between, which I use quite often, is a little bit of guesswork. So I'm very happy when my big viscous trimmer comes to me, so I can be quite precise again with cutting. So I'm just lining up my pencil line right here as best as I can and cut off the angle. So I'm going to do that for all my pieces. And then we need a miter. There we go. So paper trimmer out of the way. these scrap pieces out of the way. I try to stay organized, but it's always tricky. So this is what we have now. And we did it mirrored, right? I forgot to say that, but because we mirrored the pieces, so we did one piece like this and one piece like this, when we are going to place them, we are going to make this shape. So that's, you need to make sure that you have one of each in every, we're going to make 2 sets again, right? So each set will contain out of one that is in this way and one that is in that way. Now we are going to again miter the corners here. So with a 45-degree angle, cut straight to that intersection of your score lines, which can be sometimes a little bit hard to see. Some people prefer to do that on the bumpy side because you can see your score line a little bit better there. Or cut a little bit different. There are so many ways of doing this. Oh, I have 2 more. Let's do all of them. Okay, there we go. So I do realize this is going to be a long video, but that's okay. That's okay. We're here to go through it every step of the way, right? So let's fold on our score lines for every pocket. And again, just make sure that when you do so, your flaps here don't overlap. If they overlap, just do what we did before. Open them back up and cut in a little bit further. Now here, I am going to cut off this little piece here. And I'm not worrying about being too precise because I'm going to cover it up with pattern paper anyway. And I don't want to cut into my nice straight line there. So you don't have to be too precise, but just cut that away slightly. So do this for all 4 of your I pieces, not Y, I. And also, if there are any pencil lines that are showing, don't forget to remove them. Okay, so 4 prepared, and these we are going to stick them on piece H. Now what I'm going to do is, let's start with the first 2. I'm going to place them with the fold line on my left hand side. I'm going to take my first set of pieces, so where the angles go in opposite direction. And you can place the long points and line that up with the right bottom corner there. And again, what you will notice is that you have a little bit of space here up to your score line. Now, if you want to make sure that you're straight there, I just want to show you something that I use quite often. Is get your scoreboard in, get your piece H. And I don't like to do that on this side. Oh, it's on cutting now, so I need to turn this around. So I have a little bumper there, so I can line my piece up. So I scored the 1/2 inch part here on this side, and I'm going to go a 1/8 inch in. So if you do that on this side, you would do that on the 5/8 inch line, and just make a light score mark. Don't push too hard, just a light score mark. We're not gonna fold on it. But you create a guideline for yourself to line up this pocket. And why can that be helpful? Because if you want to do the little trick with the Scotch tape that I've been doing, you might want to stick this side down before you stick this side down. So you still have the opportunity of putting the tape on there. So your photo mats will slide in easier. And now this is a little slippery with that tape on there, so I need to be a little careful with sticking it down, because it doesn't stick until I have contact with my with this side here. So I can open it up right now and place that little Scotch tape. So that guideline, that 1/8 inch score line, can be helpful for those sort of things. And then I can remove the tape back in here and stick it down the bottom. And then I don't have any nails. I'm trying to recover my nails. They were in a really bad shape, but it's getting better. Okay, so that's one. And then where did I put the other one? Oh, all the way here. So again, if I want to, I can make the score lines and I can just do it quickly for all my pieces H's. So if you would do it here, here's my ½ inch, then you take the 5/8 of an inch. I don't want to confuse you, but this is just what I do, and I wanted to I want to be consistent in how I work, so my measurements add up. Just a light score line. There we go. Okay, so my second piece. Now it's gonna go like this, right? I'm gonna stick it down like this. If you prefer and you want to really have vision on your point there, you can flip the whole piece around and work a little closer to you. I'm just gonna do it like this for now so I don't confuse you too much. So stick this down. And I'm going to do the long side first. And then this one. Okay, so that's our first set complete. I'm going to do the other one quickly, and then we can do our belly band. So this is the one part where it's a little bit more work and a little bit more complicated, but like I said, you don't have to make it this complicated with the angles if you don't want to. Okay, so still had some pencil lines showing. Next up, we're going to do belly bands on these, and I need to do a quick little check to make sure that I'm going to tell you everything right. But I believe what we did was 1 inch and 1 inch, right? Yep. Okay, I thought so, but I wanted to make sure. So get your pieces J in, like those scrap pieces, and I'm going to get one of my piece I. It doesn't really matter which one, just get one. And you're going to start measuring at the long point of your pocket and measure 1 inch in on your piece. Make a tick mark there and do the same thing here at the short side. So 1 inch in. And you can do that for all of them if you want to, just to do all everything at the same time. But I'm just going to get one of my pieces J in right now, and I'm going to line up one edge with the pencil mark like this. So you bring it into the same angle as the angle of your pocket. So I know it's always hard to see with black on black, but I have the angle of the pocket here, and in this way we make the angle of the belly band like that. So your piece needs to be long enough where you have overlapping on both sides. So while I have this in position, and you just need to take your time on this, I'm going to mark here where the edge of my pocket is. So I'm just marking it like that, and you want to try to do that somewhat precise. Now I like to do this for every pocket individual, because you just, you might be a little off, you might be a little, I don't know. So I go through every step like this for every single piece, and I'm not just going to get another piece J and mark the same way, and because it just might end up not being right. So with that piece, I'm going to get a scoreboard in. And normally I have like 1 or 2 score lines that I made black. I don't have the right marker for it right now, because that helps me with lining up these sort of things. So if you have like a Sharpie or an alcohol-based marker, it might help to just make a few lines black, because I need to line up the pencil marks that we made here, which I'm not sure how well you can see them, but they are on here, and I'm going to line it up. So I'm just going to use, which in my case is the 5 1/8 inch score mark here, because it's really easy. I have my fold line of the scoreboard there, and then one score line really close to it, and then it's the one next to it, and it's easy for me to keep my eye on it. And then I'm going to make sure that one pencil mark is here on the top in that score mark, and the other one is here at the bottom. And then I will score that line. And then what I'm also going to do is go 1, 2, 3 score lines to the outside of my piece. So a 3/8 inch piece is what I'm making there. So I'm turning it over now, and I'm going to do the same thing here, but my piece will go in the diagonal towards the top this time. So again, I have that score line there, and make sure that that lines up here at the bottom as well. Make my score line, and again go 1, 2, 3 score lines to the right and score that as well. And then what am I going to do? This is basically just a mark line there to know where I need to cut. And then I have a 3/8 inch part there, and it's on purpose 3/8 of an inch and not 1/2 inch, which if I don't forget I will explain in a second. Okay, so there we go. Scraps can go into the garbage. So on these 3/8 inch parts, I'm going to use 1/4 inch tape. And I'm just going to place it all the way across. Just cut it off straight. I will cut it off in a second and then do the same thing here. So I don't know how to explain that, but on the short side, that's the side where you need to cut off that little tape overhang right now. So I'm going to use this scissors for it because I don't want my other scissors to get too sticky. So that's on the short side, and then also here on the short side. So I just flipped it over. So that's what we want to cut. And this is terrible. This is what makes everything, your work surface, your scissors, so incredibly sticky. And then I'm going to fold on the score line and then just cut off this whole piece in one go. Just go along the edge of your belly band. So do the same thing here. Cut that off, and then we have that belly band prepared. So get that out of the way. So we need to do this 4 times, right? I'm not going to do everything on camera because it's going to take too long. But back to the piece where I've marked my my pencil lines. Now we should be able to place it, and again I'm going to try to just stick it down where I cover up that pencil line just. So give it a dry fit again. I didn't burnish my score lines yet. Okay, so I'm just going to remove the tape backing on one side, and you want to try to be somewhat precise. I'm only doing one side, so it's removed here. I have my tape backing there, and I'm going to try to line this up as best as I can. Again, it can be a little bit hard to see all your edges with the black. I know. And then bring this part where I do have my tape backing removed and stick it down. Hold it in place as best as you can. Sometimes it will slip and slide away from you, especially if you don't have any nails to remove your tape backing. I know I should be using a tool for it, but that's in an ideal world. And then it's in place, and we will make that pretty with pattern paper. Now the reason that I did this with a 3/8 inch strip and not a 1/2 inch strip is that a 1/2 inch strip gives you just a little bit more room. This won't give you as much room underneath, which is a good thing in this case, because when we're going to put this in our album, we don't want things to fall out. So once our pattern paper is on here and you have a nice background mat for your photo, it will be nice and snug in there. So this is one. Let me do one more a little quicker, and then the other two I will do off camera. So let's make sure that I can make a set. Here we go. So another one that has the angle in the other direction. And I'm going to mark here where my pocket starts. So let's use that white to make that a little bit more visual for you. That's where I'm lining up the 0 of my ruler, and I mark 1 inch in, and here at the end of the points, and mark 1 inch in. Get a piece J, make sure you have enough overlap on both sides, and just line it up with the pencil marks and mark where your pocket goes. And if you feel brave, you can mark that whole line, but I just know I'm never going to be straight, so it's not really necessary. Getting my scoreboard back, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to use a score line that works for me. Just making sure that I have the same one lined up. Hold it in place, carefully score. I just go over several times, because I just want to make sure that I don't move my piece. And then 1, 2, 3 to the side. See that one move, but that's okay, that's just the attachment strip. Other one, and line it up, line it up. And then 1, 2, 3, and I just have enough space there. But again, it's fine. Okay, let's cut this. For a second there I thought it stopped filming, where I kind of know for sure that my phone won't stop filming, but you'll never know. Unless I don't have any more room on my phone. But that should be fine as well, I checked. And I need battery, of course. Okay, so again, put your tape on, 1/4 inch tape in this case. And then on the short side, I'm going to do it from the back. I can cut off my tape overhang. Get that out of my work surface as fast as I can, and then fold over and cut off your overhang here. Okay, and then get your piece in, and again just give it a dry fit before we're gonna attach anything, because we might are just a little off with scoring or something, and we can make an adjustment if we need to right now. But it seems to be fine. The first try that I did this, I was a little bit more off, but I was also using different cardstock, so that might have been the problem there. So I try to line this up, and I just see that I need to, I didn't burnish, right? See, so now I removed the tape backing, but actually I'm not completely happy. Well, like this, it looks good, so it should be fine. Let's try that one first. Maybe that helps. And I know I'm over precise. Don't be scared away, but don't get scared away by that, please. And then, oh, I should have left it in place actually, but okay, it's good. Okay, and then we've made that set. So I'm going to do this on the other two flaps as well, and then I will be back. Okay, so my pieces are done, and there are two things that we can do. We can place our flaps on top of our pieces G, and then place it in the folio, but you can also place piece G in the folio first and then attach your flaps, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna make two sets again, just make sure that I have two pieces that go together, and let's see, this one goes right there, and then this one with these two. Okay, did I taper this? Yeah. Okay, the folio in, and this one with the fold on my right hand side. I'm terrible with left and right if you didn't know that yet, so I'm always thinking about it. But the fold on the right hand side will go on the right hand side of the folio. So open everything up, your flap C, all the way to the other side. I'm going to use my bone folder here to keep that piece there flat, and maybe I also want to place something on here, as long as it's not in my way with constructing, just to make sure that everything is going to stay flat. Now I don't know how well you can see it, but I have my two score lines here. I'm going to fold on the 1/2 inch score line of my piece G. So my little gusset is visible here at the top, and I'm going to place my fold up against the score line here on the inside. So the score line most to the left. Just make sure you don't go over that score line, and line it up top to bottom. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did earlier on, which feels like a long time ago already because this video is so long, but it's not that long actually. So bump it up against your score line. You still want to see that score line. Hold it in place, and I'm going to do this one in sections. Okay, and then we can push up so that 1/8 inch gusset is standing up straight. Give this a burnish. But what I even want to do is, just like we did earlier, push all the way back on that second score line, so that little gusset area is going to fall underneath your piece. And we are going to line up our flaps with that fold line. So place this one on top. So I place them in like this, right? You can of course change that around and have it like that, but I'm going to do it like this because I like that. Now I'm going to eyeball the amount of space that I have, and I think it's a little less than a 1/8 inch, but a little more than a 1/16 of an inch. You want to have some space in between your pieces, and I like to have some space on top and bottom. I like to even that out, and I'm going to control eyeball it because now I have it the way I want it. And I just make a little pencil mark on, the pencil mark is on my piece G, and one pencil marks the bottom of my first piece, and the other one the bottom of my second piece. And I'm going to start with the bottom one. So if you want to, you can taper the 1/2 inch if you like. I'm just doing the one that falls on the outer edge, but even that, it's actually not even necessary. It will be covered up with pattern paper. So I'm just going to cover up that pencil mark again and make sure that I bring it along the folded edge of piece G, not J, G. I'm sorry, it's just the accent, right? I cannot help it. I don't think that will ever get any better. And then the other one. So this will go along the top, just like tapering it. Remove my tape backing and just use that pencil mark again. This time I am going to place it just above the pencil mark, otherwise I feel it's going to be too close to my other piece. And bring it along that fold line and burnish it. Okay, and then pull back so your gusset there, your 1/8 inch gusset is standing up. And I'm trying to show you, but it's really hard to see that. But it's nicely lined up with the top score line there. So the other one I'm going to do on the other side of the folio. I'm going to fold on my 1/2 inch score line. This intends to curl up, right? So that's why I'm putting that bone folder on there for some weight. And again, I'm going to line it up with the score line that's closest to the inside, right? On this side, more to the right, and from top to bottom. Just make sure you still see that score line after attachment, so it can function. Hold it in place so it slips. Because it's a longer piece, I like to do that in sections so I have a little less risk of sliding it off. And burnish it, and again I'm going to push back. So my gusset area is now going to fall under the piece. Keep that straight there. Get my other 2 flaps, and I'm going to do the same thing. Just even out my space, I eyeball it, and then I mark it because I just know if I don't mark it, I'm going to be completely off. Then I think I know where to stick it, but actually I don't. Okay. So again, that little flap on the outer edge, I like to taper because it's so close to the cut edge. Stick it down. I will burnish that in a second together with the other one. Just don't forget. Make sure it lines up nicely with the folded edge. And then we can burnish that down. And then we've got it in place finally. We're almost there, but not quite yet. So that's all in place. Yes, so that goes on top, right? Next section. Okay, let's start with our normal pockets where we slide something in from the top. So for that you're going to need your pieces K and L. Now if you want to have that on both sides of your folio, just got 2 pieces of each. On the other side we're going to do side pockets, and if you want to have that on both sides you're going to cut 4 of those because these are exactly the same. Here's a slight difference. So these are regular pockets, and I've prepared one with the tape already. Just one piece is 1/4 inch longer than the other one. The rest is exactly the same. And again, on this one, I'm going to do that angle. So I'm going to find the center. And what's the measurement of this piece? I don't know. It's easier if I know the measurement to find the center. 7. So 3.5 inches is my center from the cut edge. And then go 5/8 of an inch inwards. Mark that, so the same thing that we did earlier on with the stack pocket, and then bring it to the top of your score line. So not the end point but the score line, like that. I haven't done that on this piece yet, so let's do it here. Now this piece is 7 1/4, so I need 3 5/8 inwards. It's the center, sorry, 3 5/8 is the center, and I need to go 5/8 of an inch in. Mark it, and again make my pencil lines. I don't have enough confidence to just cut without making a pencil line. I don't know how that is for other people, but that would go totally wrong for me. Okay, so again, I'm just using my scissors to cut on the line. I feel like I'm going to cut a little above the line here because my line was not completely where it needed to be. Ideally, I would do this with one cut. The scissors is long enough. It gives you the most straight cut, but because I'm coming from this direction, I'm not able to do that. Okay, that's better. I was a little off. See, like with one cut, that gives me the straightest cut, but because I'm coming in from here, I don't want to bend my cardstock too much, so I need to do it like that. Which also works. I can, okay, let's place tape on this one, the 3 sides with the score line on the dented side. And I just like to, I prefer to do, when I'm making angles or need to make pencil marks and stuff, just do that first before I put on my tape, because the tape backing is really slippery and you have a little bit of a risk of things slipping and sliding while you're cutting. So that's why I do that afterwards, but here I already had my tape on to save a little bit of time. And then again, miter, so we are reducing bulk. And if you want to spice things up, you can use, like I said, you can make the pages with the acetate. In the meanwhile, I'm going to fold on my score lines. You can make acetate windows in these pockets. You can work with acetate on the flaps even if you want to. So if you are more advanced and you like to spice it up, you absolutely can. Okay, so almost the same, but not quite yet. There's a 1/4 inch difference. So I'm going to do the regular pockets on the right hand side of the folio, but you can also do that on the left hand side, it doesn't matter, but just keep in mind, and you will notice quick enough if you don't do it right. So I opened up all the flaps. We are looking at the back cover here. This page here, piece G, is slightly shorter than this page. This is 6 1/4. This is only 6. So make sure that your shorter one, which is piece L, goes on the shorter page. Okay, I'm just going to start here. This is a little bit tricky. There is some bulk under there. So if you have something to keep it flat for you, that will definitely help. And I'm going to line up the bottom corner here, the bottom right corner, with the bottom right corner of the large piece G flap there. And then bring it along the bottom to stick it in place. But like I said, there is some bulk underneath, so that can make it a little bit trickier. And you will go up to the score line this time. Up to the score line. Again, I'm going to do my little tape there. I might need to do a second piece. You don't have to cover it all the way, but I do like it to be covered for the most part. And I definitely, this tape, it's really cheap tape, I really burnish it down because I don't want to have a risk of this coming loose over time. With the Scotch tape I wasn't too worried about it, but still I burnished it. But this is really cheap tape, so I'm afraid it might come loose. I need to get a better brand, I guess. Just spend a little bit more on it. But this is just something that I came across when I wasn't looking for it, actually. Okay, so that's that piece in place. I still see my pencil marks. Now that I think of it, I will remove it, because if I'm gonna say, oh, I will do it later, chances are I'm gonna forget. So I have my little flaps here sticking out slightly. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to cover it up with pattern paper. Now a lot of bulk under here, so let me see if I can reduce it a little bit by getting most of the flaps out of the way. So this is the back of piece C. Let me check if that's it. Yeah, the back of piece C is where we are going to stick our piece K. So this time, this is my piece C flap. I'm going to line it up with the corner here, the left bottom corner. That's where I'm going to start. And again, bring it up to the score line here, but with the bulk you need to be a little bit more careful. So I stick that down and bring it along the bottom. That looks good. Yeah, I'll do a second piece. And then do my sides. So if you're constructing this and you don't have to explain to people what you are doing and you can just work in your own pace, I will tell you it will go a lot quicker. Trust me, you will have this constructed. I'm saying, depending on, of course, how fast of a crafter you are. I'm always slow, so I know I may be taking a little bit longer because I'm way too precise, but let's say about an hour, but depending on your experience, of course. In the meantime, I got myself a cup of tea because my throat was starting to hurt from all the talking. I guess I'm rusty, huh? Okay, so that side is done. Now all we have left are our pieces M. That's going to be our side pockets on the other side. So for piece M, both have the same measurement. So two exactly the same pieces. What I did here for the angle, and I wrote it down so I didn't forget, is I didn't go in 5/8 of an inch, but I went in 3/4 of an inch. Why? Because it's such a long piece. If I would just went in 5/8 of an inch, it was just, the angle was a little bit too, not enough of an angle for me. So if you want to do the 5/8 of an inch, you can do that, but I preferred the 3/4 of an inch on this pocket. So again, flip it over where the side without a score line is on my bottom, because that works easiest for me. And I need to find the center, which I believe is 4 5/8 for this piece. Yes. And just mark the center, so it's exactly the same step, only we go in 3/4 of an inch instead of 5/8. Okay, let's cut it. So it's a longer piece, it's a little bit harder to handle, but we'll manage. Okay, the other one. So tape on the 3 sides with a score line on the dented side. I didn't give you the score lines measurements for the pockets, right? But I kind of hope that, because for piece K and L I'm not able to show you anymore, but I hope it's by now it's kind of clear how the cutting guide works. But just to show you for pieces M, so these pieces are 9 1/4 by what was it? 3 3/4. So with the long side, the 9 1/4 inside on top, you scored 1/2 inch and 8 3/4. And then with the short side, the 3 3/4 side on top, you scored 1/2 inch. So for both pieces. And then I believe, I can check quickly, of course. piece K was 4 inches high, at half an inch, 4¼ inches high, yes, by 7¼ this one. And then with the 7¼ inch side you score half an inch and 6¾ and with the 4¼ inch side on top half an inch, and the other piece was 4¼ by 7. Yes, so then you score half an inch and 6½, and on the short side the 4¼ inch side half an inch. But I hope that by the time that you got to that pieces, the cutting guide was, yeah, you kind of got that. Okay, let's miter these corners. And this one, let's just prepare them all right. And then fold and burnish on your score lines. And the folio back in. So open up your flaps. So piece G, piece C, and one of them is going on this side and the other one is going on the other side, and it doesn't matter because it's all the same. So you can turn your project around if you want to. I'm going to stick down the long side first. As you see, once again, I'm just giving that a little bit of a try fit. I just want to make sure for myself that everything is going to be right and just going to fit. So you have 2 score lines here, pretty important to tell you. I hope you can see it a little bit, but don't stick anything on your gusset. Line it up with the score line most to the left. So you keep that gusset free from any attachment. And again, don't go over the score line. You want to see that score line once the pocket is attached. Oh, see, that didn't went right. I just lost part of my tape backing there, and now I need to try to get the rest without that nail there. Oh, I hope that's everything. Okay, burnish that down. Again, I'm opening this up. Although it's a little bit of a shallow pocket, you will have a little bit less problems. I am doing my little, I'm calling it scotch tape. I don't know, that just talks easy for me. I know this is not scotch tape. Okay, and then stick down the side. But because this is a long pocket, what I'm going to do is I bring it down without sticking it, push on the middle, and then go outwards with my pressure. Because these long pockets, they intend to curl up a little bit, but in this way I found that it's the least of a problem. So I'm going to try to show you up close, because I know it's always difficult to see how you have, I try to catch it in the light, but it's hard. You have your score line here, and then a score line just next to the pocket bottom. So your gusset is free of attachments. And the same thing goes for here. Don't stick it on the 1/4 inch, stick it next to the score line, most to the right in this time. So again, I have quite the bulk under here, but we can reduce it a little bit by just removing some of the layers there. Oh, I don't know why I removed that whole tape backing, but I did. It will be fine, but I preferred if I did it the other way. Okay, so final attachment and our construction is complete. We will be ready for some pattern paper, but that's going to be a new video, right? This video is already way too long. So same thing, I'm bringing it in, but I push down on the middle and then bring it out. Okay, so close this with the 1/8 inch gusset, and then the 1/4 inch gusset will go over it, and put this back into place, and we have the folio. So construction done. Again, remember you can download your cutting guide on my website scrapandcoffee.com. It's a free PDF which will give you all the measurements and scoring for cutting and scoring. And yeah, I hope you're going to join me in the next video for some decorating tips. So for now I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye!